there! Assassin's Creed Mirage is here, and I finished the game and would like to share some of my thoughts with you, and some gameplay too. No spoilers, of course. Mirage takes the series back to its earliest days with a focus on parkour, stealth, and mission planning to infiltrate a stronghold, eliminate a target, and get out again unseen.
This ends now.
The 40+ hour open world RPGs of Valhalla, Origins and Odyssey have been replaced with the smaller location of 9th century Baghdad, with an average playtime of around 15 to 20 hours. We play as Basim, a returning character from AC Valhalla, who visited Norway about 12 years after the events of this game. So Mirage is a prequel to Valhalla. What's noticeable right away is the reduction of RPG elements. The litany of choice such as weapons and shields has gone. Basim is designed to solely wield a sword and dagger exclusively. And the days of constantly checking which weapon and which armor piece has the best stats is no longer here, replaced instead by a much simpler linear upgrade system. Mirage is much more like the adventures of Ezio and Altair, with a few extra flourishes. For example, as we grew up as a street thief, we can pickpocket freely. And after 18 hours, this is still my favourite mechanic. If you can spot a coin purse, it can be stolen, and it's just a single well-timed button press. Incredibly satisfying. This ability feeds into a second mechanic, as we can find trinkets to sell, keys to unlock doors, and sometimes the new currencies for the game. Small favours that can be given to merchants for discounts, or they can even be offered as bribes to those tight-lipped officials. Being light-fingered in AC Mirage is thoroughly rewarding. Though, should we be seeing pickpocketing, or in fact any other crime, the notoriety bar grows in the lower right corner. We can hide and wait this out, or pay for the notoriety to be reduced, or do this.
The guard will be ever vigilant.
Rip down wanted posters until everyone forgets what you look like. These two mechanics alone make the world feel a lot more rewarding to explore. The mission log of typical Assassin's Creed games has been replaced by the Investigation tab, a constantly evolving chart of suspects and potential leads to follow. I best blur this just in case. The beauty of this system is that the smaller missions contribute to unlocking a final assassination mission, which in turn makes story progression feel earned rather than given. And those final missions close an investigation and often reveal further suspects to start another series of missions, complete with throwback to older AC games, the Dying Breath conversations.
It is our divine will to rule over them.
Right, let's talk about the combat in Assassin's Creed Mirage, because it isn't the Witcher 3 style we saw in Origins, and it isn't the more brutal style we saw of Connor in AC3. Mirage instead has decided to go all the way back to the bare bone basics. Parry, dodge, and strike. Really simple, unblockable hits flash red to indicate you need to move your ass, the yellowy golden flash represents a deflectable strike that you should parry, and then our own hits have two variations, tap for a quick strike, and hold for a heavier attack. I honestly believe the basic nature of this is to push gamers to play the stealthy way, especially with the Assassin's Focus ability, to slow down time and straight up matrix a gang of guards. In a split second. This ability feels like a rechargeable get out of jail free card. I really struggled with the melee combat for the first few hours and had my ass handed to me many a time before I understood how each enemy attacks. This isn't Dark Souls, but once you get down their attack patterns, it's pretty easy to annihilate an entire squadron of these guys. Like the heavy guards, they're too strong to battle face to face, so targeting their legs or getting round the back of them is the way to get the upper edge. It's only when these elite mercenaries arrive that things get so tough you should think about running away. Pro tip, remember to use your surroundings whenever possible. But we do have more options to choose from. Assassin's tools. Mirage has a host of tools for Basim to use. Most are designed for stealth gameplay, but using them in fights is just as impactful. We slowly unlock throwing knives, noisemakers, blow darts, smoke bombs, and traps, each which can be upgraded separately. For example, using the noisemaker to attract foes over to an oil pot, and then throwing a knife in there to trigger it. Boom. Or, when overrun, a simple throwdown of a smoke bomb can stop the fight in its tracks and also give a stealth takedown opportunity. This is where you'll find your only combat variation, as standard fights with sword and dagger are honestly quite lackluster, and when combined with that poor AI, it can feel quite basic. But the flair on the final hit always feels nice. Oh, and by the way, there is a sword which adds poison to your blade every 5th hit, so don't always stick to the sword with the best stats. There is a little bit of wiggle room if you do a little reading. Let's go on a typical set of missions in Mirage. At least once per investigation, Basim is asked to track a suspect. You know the deal, they walk slowly and turn around every so often to check no one is following them. Our job is to stay close and out of sight, using the parkour system, which has to be said is probably the strongest it's ever been, but yes, it's still clunky at times. Another mission is to sit in cover and overhear conversations for clues. Literally eavesdropping.
You are not telling me exactly what it is we are missing.
Those are for information grabbing missions. Then there are infiltration missions, which usually mean Basim needs to break into a stronghold to take something or rescue someone. And it's always jam-packed with guards. And more often than not, one of them has a key to get inside. This type of mission can be a complete bloodbath or a stealth masterclass, and it's totally up to you. During these scenarios, your eagle vision is the main tool. By tapping left on the D-pad, Basim will see things all colour coordinated and easy to identify who has the key. If all goes to plan, a set piece mission is granted. With Feather in hand, you'll use all the skills you've learned up to that point to get into an impossible location, like this, a palace. A thing that impressed me about these final missions comes down to your eagle eye in the sky. We can mark multiple ways to approach this task. For example, it's possible to slip past guards using many methods. One location has a crack in its defences, perfect for Basim to physically slip in. Another has a crane nearby, which can be leapt from. I entered a mission through a water well once to skip the wall, and we can even pay a contractor to get us inside as if we were his workmate. There are many ways to get into these fortified missions, some easier than others. And this always ends with taking out your target to complete the contract. Quietly with a hidden blade, or face to face, steel on steel.
Your hour has come.
One thing I implore you to do during your playthrough, and that's complete the side quests, as they are a mixed bag of small puzzles, challenging fights, and mission modifiers that completely change how you approach each task, such as this combat mission where taking damage is not allowed. Or something I fail more often, staying unseen during a stealth mission. I can't do that. The collectibles, on the other hand, can be locked inside buildings, and it's up to you to figure out how you're going to get inside. It could be throwing a shuriken through a window to disengage a lock. It could be using one of those oil pots to blow open a wall. The side content, if I'm totally honest, is better than the story missions. I wanted to circle back round to the story again. After 16 hours, I rolled credits in Mirage. I focused on the story, but I didn't mainline it completely. I'd say I had about half the side content done too. So realistically, this game will take about 20 hours to platinum if that's your jam. But 16 hours to roll credits. And for about 10 of those 16 hours, I totally stopped caring about the narrative sold to us through this investigation system. It was boring, and there was no other word for it. I was not invested in the Hidden One's hunt to find the head of the snake, and I found everyone in the story lacked personality, outside of a few very specific examples. I personally didn't connect with anyone, which may be a me issue rather than a Mirage issue, I know. But then something happened in the latter stages which I adored. I won't spoil anything, but I have been pulled back into the overarching narrative of the entire series after finishing this game, so much so that I plan to make a timeline of events in Assassin's Creed. Before I sum up, you can't have an Assassin's Creed game without a few bugs. I played an early version of the game, so these may be fixed in the final release, yet I still want to show you them. I've seen rats running across the sky, NPCs that cannot touch the ground, others that can be stuck in running animations. There are numerous bugged out takedown animations, and my favourite has to be this floating dude in the middle of the desert. And an honorary shout out to this funny walk. All bugs I encountered were only small ones, nothing was game breaking, but it's fun to look at all the same. So the verdict: Assassin's Creed Mirage attempts to take the series back to its stealth roots with a smaller, more refined world dedicated to establishing the character of Basim. Simplifying progression and removing RPG elements will be jarring to many modern day fans, while older fans will once again recognise the AC series they fell in love with in the first place. Sadly, a lackluster story, partially rescued by its final act, is not enough to make the experience memorable. With a few fresh ideas on show, the future of Assassin's Creed looks promising, but we're not quite to that promised land just yet. That all said, I do recommend Mirage. It's worth your time, but definitely check your expectations before beginning. I'm Adam, you're awesome. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you next time.